Forget what they told you in Sunday school. God's not mad at you. You don't have to make America great again. And your spirituality doesn't have to look anything like theirs. Welcome to Evangelicalish with Paul and Ashley. We're untangling and unlearning what harms, reclaiming what heals, and searching for a new kind of 21st century spirituality.
Woot woot.
Here we go. Good morning.
As Doug on the left would say.
Yes, we should work that into the open, just like right at the end. It should just go like woot woot.
Woot
And then,
woot.
yeah, that'll always be the Doug on the left welcome sign or sound.
I thought you were going to say Doug on the left memorial. I'm like,
No.
is there something happening that I don't know about?
Well, I'll tell you what has happened is that it is an hour later. And so the daylight that's streaming into my upstairs office for this Sunday morning show is different. I can feel
Yeah.
it. It's like a lot brighter.
Yeah. I'm zooming out a little bit here. It was very bright when I woke up this morning. I hate it so much. It just like streamed right into my sleeping eyeballs. And I just hated it.
Well, I'm not complaining. We always have had this. This has always been a major point of contention for us because I kind of like the daylight savings or whatever it is. We're going off of it.
We're
or
going
on
into
to it, I don't know.
standard time now.
Okay, we're in
Daylight
standard time.
savings is the way
So
it should go.
I think this. I was thinking about this. This is why I actually have an affinity for the get dark early. It goes way back to when I was a kid, and three things actually. One, I was like super pasty white. I mean, like, look at this is not changed. Okay. This is, growing up in the 80s, this is not a popular thing to look like. Like, you want to be tan, you want to be like golden, you don't want, or like have darker skin. And so I was always very self-conscious about like showing my skin. And it was so hot and humid and gross. So you had to wear light clothing, you had to wear shorts, this and that. And people would just like mock me all the time for my skin color. So I was like, yes, please, can we get to the part of the year where it's cold and we all bundle up? So that was kind of the big thing. But then also I just like love Christmas so much. And as a kid, my mom made it really special. And so it getting dark early was a like thing that meant the holidays were coming and I could hide my embarrassing skin.
Okay. Well, I always have hated it. I like the sun in the evening when it's a little more usable. And I think kids can go to school in the dark. It's not that big of a problem.
You're a night owl. So you're sort of natural body clock. You're not a like, crack of dawn, let's get up and get going. Because you've usually been up pretty late. So you're trying to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. And Doug says daylight savings time raises stress and attributes to death. But that's not my understanding. That, Doug, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit here because I've always heard it's just the time change itself. So both times we change time, it is a stress on your body, and people have health issues, heart attacks, and things around the time change. It's not just daylight savings. It's on both sides when it goes. This is my understanding. And we did, for a short time when Nixon was president, go permanently on daylight savings because of the energy crisis that we had back then. So the idea was with more sun in the evening, you would use less energy. And so, and again, Doug says without daylight savings, there's no time change. That's also not true because we have states in America like Arizona that are permanently on daylight savings, I believe.
Who knew you were such an expert?
Because it matters to me. California voted in our last election to go permanently on daylight savings, but we can't do it without congressional approval or something. So another reason California should leave the country and become our own.
It's becoming a long list of reasons.
Yeah. ICE agents running around our community is one. So yeah,
Yes, with mask wearing police officials.
we are
Um,
being occupied right now. So by a military.
anyway, you have a friend in Doug who is affirming your zeal for this topic. I, however, am going to remain on my side of this issue.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Anyway, also it's just so hot around here, and like the time change, the getting darker, whatever. Like it's also a sign that like the rainy season's coming, and that's our version of winter. When you have 340 days of whatever, 320 days of sunshine a year, you're kind of excited to get the like, oh,
Yeah.
it's we're getting some clouds, we might get some rain. So
See, to me, that's the
yeah.
thing. Like I love when it's probably the one thing I miss about the Midwest is that fall, September weather
Oh,
change.
just absolutely gorgeous.
And you don't need to change the clock. It's already starting to get darker out. It's already getting cooler. You already have shorter days. And I loved all that because same, it's fall's coming and it's going to be
Yeah.
cool, and then we're going to get to Christmas, and all of those things were wonderful. And I just don't think you need to change the clock to do that because that all
You know
already
who
exists.
you know who is having an absolutely beautiful fall right now is our daughter Sydney,
Yeah,
who's living in New Jersey, but she was here last week, which is part of the reason why we haven't done a show in 2 weeks.
yeah,
Feeling a bit rusty,
that's
but
true.
we took a little break to celebrate a big family occasion. Our youngest nephew on my side of the family got married, and we had family in from Texas and Oklahoma and Southern California, and our daughter came out from New Jersey, and she was telling us about just how gorgeous the Garden State is in the fall, and like you get that crisp, change of the air. Like it just is it sounds so magical.
Yeah, I have become a New Jersey fan from our daughter. So
I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yes. It is a beautiful, beautiful place, and kind of gets a bad rap. So I'm team Jersey, and like I'm thinking Fresno is kind of the same, there's a lot of beauty out here in Fresno and Central California, but we get a bad rap. So I
I,
think
I
we and the
loved
Jersey people.
I loved the show How I Met Your Mother, and that was a big part of, who would live in New Jersey. You live in New York. If you're a New
Yeah.
Yorker, you live in New York. You live in
Yeah.
Manhattan. And so I've always heard that Jersey put down by our New York media. And so had and then of course what was the reality show? Jersey Shore. So that was always, my impression of Jersey, and the cake maker guy. And
Yeah.
um,
Carlos from Hoboken.
yeah, but
Yeah.
now we've been to uh, what would that be? Northeastern New Jersey, and it's very, very cool. Very cool.
Um, yeah. So here we are, 2 weeks have gone
Hmm.
by, and I want to just say this right up front, and then we should talk about it before we go as well. But next week we have a
Oh
really
my
fantastic
gosh.
guest. I'm so excited for this guy. You want to pronounce his name because I don't want to get it wrong.
I haven't got the full
John
John Fugelsang. Have you guys heard of?
Fugelsang.
That's what I'm guessing it is. We probably need to get the full pronunciation, but Fugelsang, yeah, he wrote a book called Separation of Church and Hate, a New York Times bestseller, and he will be our guest on the show next week. We're very, very excited about
If you
this.
pull him up, if you just Google him, you'll see so many YouTube clips of a lot of national press, and like he was on the Daily Show on the Comedy Channel with Jordan Klepper interviewed him.
Yeah.
One of my news favorites is Joe Scarborough. Joe Scarborough interviewed him. He's a former VH1, like early in the early days, video whatever VJ.
Oh, is that right?
And
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
and he's got a show, or I think he's got a music show on Sirius XM. So I think that's kind of like his day job, but he's a comedian as well. And I'm telling you, I've always thought that your zingers about Christianity and religiosity and politics were about as fierce as I could ever hear. This guy, it's like Paul's here. This guy is like So his wit and like is like next level.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait to like watch you two interact, and then also try to get him to open up a little bit and like not just do the one liners, but give us a good hearty conversation about his own personal journey.
I've got a little clip here. I don't know exactly what it is, but let's check it out.
Town hall acting like Mike Johnson had voted to keep the government shut down. I mean, like, if an alien was watching that, that's what they would think. Because that's how misleading that town hall was. Why weren't Republicans just open it up? We tried to vote multiple times.
Nine times.
Without
Mike
one
Johnson's
button.
not trying to open it, and the Republicans are not in D.C., but it's lovely to have you here in New York.
AOC was on that town hall acting.
Oh my gosh.
You've got a bit of an echo on that clip, so I couldn't really hear it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how. I'll have to work on fixing that, I guess. Oh, I know why, because this is on. Yeah. Anyway, what happened is that was Crenshaw, the cringy of the cringy Republicans, saying, "Oh, it's obvious that the Republicans want to open the government back up, and we voted 9 times." And then Fugelsang said, "That's why all the Republicans are out of Washington, D.C. right now. And good to see you here in New York City."
Yeah. Okay, that's a good line. That's a good line. Ooh,
You're
burn.
really trying to open that government right
Burn.
now. And
Burn.
I know you hate when I something is weird about Mike Johnson. Watching him last night, just that guy can lie without a flinch like nobody's business. He would be great on some reality show like Big Brother because he is a liar. I mean, even Trump, you get some feel of like he's just an idiot, or he maybe
It's like
believes his lies.
Yeah.
But Mike Johnson can sit there and flat, straight face.
Uh-huh.
Last night he was saying, if the Democrats would come back to DC, we could open government. And it's like, you fucking guy, you sent your people home for weeks and weeks and weeks now because you don't want to have the Epstein vote.
Yeah.
And he can just sit there imperviously and say, well, the Democrats aren't even in DC, so how can we open the government? And if the Democratic senators would come back, we could open government. But no, people are going to starve now because the Democratic Senate. Now that guy, he's covering a secret because he's a really good liar.
Well, I mean, in the long line of speakers who have no problem just say, like whatever is the party line. It's like the tradition,
Yeah.
Bucky's comment is exactly, he's a robot, he's programmed. That's the thing, that's the culture. I remember there was there's a proverb in the Bible that talks about the language of accusation. And I remember reading that when I was first in office, and I thought, oh my God, that's politics. Like your native tongue in that domain is accusation and lies. And that's why if you can find people who can be in that space and not do the partisanship and adopt that, those people stand out. Like that's a refreshing. It doesn't make them popular, and they don't typically advance in the leadership structures, but it is powerful.
Yeah. I guess it's a sad truth of politics today at the national level, at least, that you have to lie. I don't know. I love to use in my interactions with people on social media Proverbs 17:28, by the way, which says,
Okay.
even a fool when he is silent is counted wise, and when he shuts his lips, he is thought of as a man of understanding.
So it's like, zip it, shut your mouth.
Well, and people always say it's, what is it? Better to be silent and thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. I assume it's based on this verse,
that proverb. Yeah.
But the proverb is a little more like, it's a real zinger. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a real backhand right there.
Yeah. Even a fool is considered wise if he keeps his mouth shut.
Okay, River Huggers got it for us in the chat. Better be silent, thought a fool, than to open one's mouth and prove it.
Yeah.
Boom.
But that's not in the Bible. That's one of those things I've heard people say the
That's like
Bible says, but it's not actually in the Bible.
that's just like probably like an almanac, a Richard's almanac thing.
Probably.
Okay. Hey,
Here we are.
here we are. I mean, listen, I've missed our time together, and I've missed our time with folks who join us live here. It's, what I was talking to someone this week about this show, one of my friends here locally in the Central Valley in California, and she was like, "Do you like doing that?" I'm like, "I love it." And I don't really know why, but it's just fun to get on this, this time every week and try to have honest conversations with each other, and then engage with folks who join us about and try to just kind of very intentionally take off the masks of things we've been taught, and then talk about what it's like to take off those masks, and then talk about what it's like to, I don't know, just have the real conversation. So this person was saying, like, you get pretty raw on that podcast. I'm like, yeah, I'm proud. Like, I feel like that is healing. And I like, not only do I want to model that, but I benefit from sort of honest conversation. So yeah, that's how I would sum up why I think we get together every Sunday on this show.
And if I could take us on one more brief side road before we jump into it. Terrestrial Traveler is here from Idaho. And we're not huge followers of Fresno State football anymore, but I do have to note that Fresno State went to Boise last night and kicked Boise State's ass. That is
Shut up, really?
That is such a rare thing.
So rare. What in the heck happened?
I have no idea. I just saw the score, so that's it. Yeah.
We didn't have a particularly good year either, right? I mean,
I think it seems at times we're kind of up and down, I guess.
That's the story of Fresno State football. For 30 years that I've been following, that's the story. It's like, although
I only say that because I've been up in Boise for years as a sportscaster, watching Boise State just handle Fresno State over and over and over.
On
the blue turf.
On the blue turf. I remember you coming back from one of those trips, and there was a time when you and I were like, we were really into Fresno State football. I mean, you were covering it for a living, and I always felt like this sort of, I mean, this is going to sound stupid, but like this sort of spiritual connection of like loving and caring for a whole region. Can we lift a whole region? And the various brands that represented our region, Fresno State being most prominent, like their success was like a sign of like, we're on the up, and then like Fresno State were like beating USC, like we're on the up, and then we'd get devastated, like, oh, God hates us kind of thing. So that's how I used to kind of hang in there on Fresno State football. It meant a lot. And it was one of those times when we had a devastating loss. You came home and you're like, but the people in Boise are truly the nicest human beings I've ever encountered.
They really are.
They're just so kind. And that has always stuck with me. That, and the fact that it was so cold that the fountains froze.
The fountains froze. Yeah.
And that is what I think of when I think of Boise, is nice people and frozen fountains.
Yeah. Fresno State one year played in a bowl game up in Boise against Virginia, which we won the game, by the way. And Chris Peterson, who was the head coach of Boise State and is an amazing football guy, he was there on the sideline. Boise State people or people from Boise were wearing like Boise State shirts and Fresno State hats and things like that. And I was talking to Peterson, and I'm like, if Boise were playing in a bowl game in Fresno, Fresnans would not do this. We would be rooting against Boise State, and hatefully so. And it really did humble me. So I love Boise, except it's just very, 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 very white. After a while, I'm like, there are a lot of white people here.
We in California kind of forget what it's like. I mean, like I said, let me again show the proof of, listen, this girl grew up where it's like, this is the white club. And but even where I grew up in Arkansas, like people, most people had more skin color than this, but in my junior high this was in the 80s, I'm sure it's a little bit different now, but My junior high had one Latina and two African American kids. This was a school of 900 and the rest
Yeah.
white. And you know, living in like the place where we live now is 80% people of color in Fresno. And it just is such a part of who we are and like what you experience and like literally every single moment of your life. You're just surrounded by so many different kinds of people and cultures. It's really beautiful. And then you kind of then you like travel and go, oh, it's different in other parts of the
Yes.
country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to high school in western Nebraska in a town called North Platte, which had 24,000 people and was the fourth largest city in the state, fourth most populous. It now has 23,000 people, to tell you a
It's
little bit about it.
declining.
It's
Oh my God.
declining in
Yeah.
population. And we had one friend of mine, he came from the Black family in North Platte, like
Wow.
the Black family.
Yeah.
They were known as the Black family.
Oh God. That's
I just could
devastating
not imagine
to
living there.
consider.
And there was a huge Hispanic population there, but they all lived north of the tracks. You know, and so
Yeah.
one of my best friends was one of the Hispanic people. His family had moved south of the tracks, so all the other brown-skinned people hated his family, you know, because so it was kind of that kind of town, you know. We live on this side of the tracks. You live on that side of the tracks. Oh, and there's the Black family in
Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't do that stuff.
Mm.
Ugh.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So there we are, way deep in a little rabbit hole. So maybe we should climb back out.
Yes.
You know, we were talking last night. Oh, also, speaking of sports, we watched the Dodgers last night
Oh,
win, and
you have to mention that? Come on.
sorry.
Come on.
I have such mixed feelings because it's like I'm a Californian, so yay. I'm totally rooting for Canada, so boo. Our son's fiance is the biggest Dodgers fan ever, so yay. Like I
But
have
we're
so much
Giants
conflict on
fans,
this.
and
But
so
we're
we
Giants
have to
fans,
hate
so
the
boo.
Dodgers. So
It's like
boo.
50-50 internal conflict on this, but there is something about watching these high stakes sports contests of our day and the sheer joy of the win and the expressions on their face and like just thinking of the stories of everything that everybody that got to this point, and then the crushing defeat and there is something about humanity that is so powerful when you watch these kinds of things.
And I love our soon-to-be daughter-in-law, and so I was like trying to be okay, but then when I knew the Dodgers were going to win, I'm like, I gotta leave. I can't be in the room when this happens. It was really tough, and not just it's partly because I passionately hate the Dodgers, but it's also like Goliath beat David. You know, Goliath
Right,
stomped
right.
on David.
How is that something to
Yeah,
really cheer about? Yeah,
right.
that's true. When you put it that way,
The
as
team that
a
has double the payroll of any other baseball team in the
yeah, that's
league
right. So just like corruption
won the
won,
championship.
yay.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm very pro David here because I feel like every place in my life is like underdog.
yeah.
So that is a bitter pill for sure. That's a bitter pill.
Okay, so deconstructing or demonic?
Or demonically possessed.
That's our topic today. We're talking
Mhm.
about, and one of my slogans has been let's reach out for a 21st century spirituality, not live in a first century vision of spirituality. And so we've seen this around us in some of our family members and in our journey of like, ooh, this, I'm kind of edging into things that we would have called demonic in the past. And I love this topic because I've been fascinated by your spiritual journey. I remember the day when you like told me I had taken Jesus away from you. But your spiritual journey of being fed spiritually by a lot of different things is really fascinating. And so I'd love to hear you share, like, what does that spirituality look like to you? And are you afraid you're
Yeah.
calling demons into our household by your actions these days?
Not at all afraid of that. Not at all. Not even 1%, not even a whisper or a whisker of fear. Not any of it. But I also was thinking this morning about this title, 21st Century Spirituality. I actually think, and just so many caveats about our own ignorance, right? Because like I'm not a super studied person on like ancient things or spiritual practices from different cultures. So, but I actually think kind of what we're starting to gravitate towards is more of a reflection of like long, ancient times and traditions, and what early, like I think we're just kind of getting in touch with that. So our version of 21st century spirituality is probably just walking out of the 20th century sort of nonsense, and what we're walking into is probably something that is more akin to um more ancient times, would you say?
Yeah, and I would call it 21st century because we're bringing an amalgamation and we're not like sacrificing animals or
Yeah.
virgins.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
That's true. We're not doing
yeah.
that. So
In
whatever.
fact,
Never
our
mind.
dog is very much the opposite of a sacrificial
No,
lamb.
we're
He
like
he
we
runs
hero
the
worship.
house.
We hero worship our little 12-year-old puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do think
But I hear
um
your point. We're pulling some
yeah.
of the olden practices into today to spiritually strengthen
I
ourselves. Yeah.
mean, and probably the biggest thread of that is just trying to understand when Jesus of Nazareth walked to the earth, what were actually the times and conditions? How can we better understand um what like the Aramaic Jesus? I mean, I've come back to that a lot this
Yeah.
year. Probably if we do like a recap 2026 show, which we should do that, by the way, that would be fun. And we
2025, you mean?
gosh darn it, is it 2025?
It is. Yeah.
This is a sign of aging. It's like I don't have any idea what year it is. Okay, so yeah, like if we do a 2025 recap and we were to look back at the pillars of the year and conversations on this show that I think were like super milestones, there'd be quite a lot of them, frankly. I think there'd
Yeah.
be probably 7 or 8 of them that were like, whoa, we like moved forward or in a different direction based on this input or conversation. One of them would be that Neil Douglas Klotz and Aramaic Jesus.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, so I think like reading his
That
book.
Jesus was an Aramaic speaker. The Bible
Yes,
was originally written in
yes,
Greek, and Greek
that
and Aramaic didn't
yes,
always exactly mesh.
and that the way what Jesus was expressing, the like spirit, like God is spirit, God is breath, God is not a human, God is not a man. Um, that is very much meshing for me with what I'm experiencing in contemplative prayer and meditation, and like being able to mental model shift from praying to super hot fantasy island god the father, from that
Ricardo
to
Montalban.
is his name again Ricardo Montalban.
Ricardo Montalban.
um yeah, like stopping that sort of mental image in my mind, and instead thinking of spirit, perfect love, like a fog, like it's
Yeah.
everywhere, and then in fact it holds the universe together. And so then when I read like his book, and yeah, Doug's right, that episode really, and the book, and reading his stuff after and sort of practicing his prayers, 40-day prayer thing, like that has been a very big thing for me. And the meditation and sort of what maybe back in previous days would have been in my life I would have considered like new age, is actually aligning with it, like the Aramaic Jesus.
Yeah. And in watching you, what we're seeing about alignment is it was like we had to reject Christianity as we knew it I started to say to get Jesus back, maybe to ever get Jesus at
In
all.
the first place, yes,
We were
that's right.
I feel like we were worshiping some idol
Yeah.
of a man-created version of Jesus, which is what, kind of MAGA Christianity worships. But now we get to really meet a Jesus that is interactive. And I'm really not talking about the person Jesus, I guess, but the spirit
Spirit. Hmm.
of what that story of Jesus represents, that we were
Yes.
never allowed
Yes.
to really know or pursue in
Yeah.
Christianity, because we had to pursue the religion of Christianity rather than
Right.
Jesus.
Golly, I mean, and as you're saying that, I'm feeling this thing come up in me of like, I hate anything that feels like, oh, we figured something out that other people haven't figured out. Therefore, let us go ahead and elevate ourselves. I hate the feeling of that, but that is not the heart or mindset here. But I think the main reason why you and I talk about this is to share with other people, and to like, it's just such a group activity, trying to find this interconnection to the divine. I think now, but I'm challenged because remember when you wanted us to listen to that 3-hour podcast with Dr. K and your favorite atheist dude and all
Yeah,
of that. And remember, Dr. K was like, I don't talk about my spiritual journey because
right.
it compromises me too much on the inside. And nobody, and then Alex O'Connor was like, let's just all agree that nobody can do this for you. It is all your own internal journey. I'm hearing that too. And so I think there's a really important, at this stage of my life, there's a really important thing for me of like, I don't want to impose any shit on no one. I
Yeah.
don't want to be acting like this is the thing and not that, because that's what we came out of. And also, like, we got to talk about some stuff together
So I
sometimes.
hope what we're saying, and because, it was a 3-hour podcast and Dr. K talked a lot about, reaching out for something higher, and was very good at, like, with the Christian apologist and the atheist theologian, affirming their beliefs and saying, yes, you can still access what I'm talking about, and he's Hindu, and not have to leave your current belief.
Right.
This is, and I talk a lot about what I'm recognizing now is, we all, when we pick up this little device here, this phone, and access, everything out there, we're all accessing the same grid ultimately, but we're accessing it through different providers of access to that grid. And so I'm a big believer that we can access goodness and wisdom and, just divine connection to one another, which I really think was the message of Jesus ultimately,
Right.
through T-Mobile or AT&T or Verizon, that still get
Totally.
there.
Totally. And what Jesus expressed was such a radical departure from what was understood and practiced by institutions at that time. And when you think about that, and that to me is why, I mean, like, what, just such a powerful, powerful life and story. Um,
Well, I would say too that Jesus was pointing to his religion, his religious people group, and saying, our religion is beautiful. Our beliefs are beautiful. You have
yes.
corrupted it. You people have made it into a list of rules and a game of gotcha, and I'm better than you. That's not what Judaism is. And he
Yeah.
was pointing, like you say, to something new that was actually pointing back to this relationship between the divine and humanity that I talk about was represented in Abraham and God splitting the animals and having that ceremony. This was about the veil between the divine and human becoming very, very thin, and understanding
Yeah.
that we can traverse that divide.
Um,
Do you know that you often put up, I think we do this to each other. We put up quotes that the other has already put up on
I
the
was
screen.
just wondering if you already put that one up, but I just loved it so much. It's like we're seeing twice. Terrestrial
If
traveler
you're
says
listening
ditching the
on
Christian. Yeah, well, let me
That's-
just read it. Ditching the Christian mismanagement of Jesus' words brought amazing healing into my life. So yes, you're right. I have double, what do we call this? Double shown the
Double
many of the
posting
comments
or
today. Double post. Thank you for pointing that out. Because
it's
I'm
okay
listening to
though.
you, so I'm not paying attention, or I'm listening to myself and I'm not paying attention to what you're posting.
I remember when we
Um,
used to do the shows on TikTok, you always got distracted by the
it's
commenters.
hard. It is really hard to just be like constantly watching the comments coming at you while you're trying to talk. It's kind of fun, but it's hard.
We should get on
Anyway,
TikTok again. Yeah.
huh?
We should get back on TikTok on Sunday morning.
Maybe
That
we
was fun.
should. That was ruckus. That was
Yeah.
like people hurling just like shit at you, like bah, bah, bah. Oh my god, it's crazy over there on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what your original question was there, but that is cornerstone for me. Cornerstone um on this deconstructing journey is the shift from God as man to divine spirit that connects us all and imagining perfect love and having encountered that feeling. And it is why I'm grateful for many of the sort of spiritual, practice that I grew up with, because I know I was like I could literally feel my body start tingling, and I could imagine this perfect love, and I could often see in my mind's eye like what I thought of was, Jesus, and I would always shift where I started, which was some kind of crankiness or fear or something. And I could always shift when I went into a prayer time or space, but I just had to step over so much shame and so much performance. And it was a ton of energy to get to that place where it was like, now I feel this cool water, this access on the inside to the divine. And I always felt like that was on the outside of me. So I think another big shift for me has been going like, no, actually, that's on the inside of me. And I heard those words my entire life growing up, like Holy
Yeah.
Spirit's inside you. But I never felt mentally, it was not, boy, that was not there. I could not grasp that. I was always having to reach and perform and like grab the thing outside of me. And you know what shifted that for me more than anything?
What was that?
Wait for it. Therapy
Ah,
and internal family systems specifically.
yeah.
And like that practice of learning what parts are going on, what's going on inside of you, and like tuning in, and that's all mental health stuff.
Yeah. You're going to where I was planning to go next. And like I keep planning sort of this series of things I want to write about. I wish I had become a therapist and not a pastor for a whole lot of reasons. But one is Christianity, I think, literally takes away really important self-healing tools because they're, air quotes, demonic. And so I'm studying right now emotionally focused therapy, and the foundation of EFT is attachment and attachment theory. And attachment theory says how you were connected to your primary caregiver. So that for a lot of us, that's our mom. Maybe with our dad as sort of secondary. That's kind of common. And how we learned attachment, like I'm safe, I'm valued because this authoritative person is telling me so through their actions and their words. And Christianity takes that away in so many ways, spare the rod, spoil the child, and things like that. And then, of course, we had the strong-willed child from James Dodd. I mean, it literally is telling you, break the will
culture
of your child. Tell them they are a sinner. Tell them they are not valuable. Tell them they're not the center of the world. And that creates a lack of understanding of intimacy and engagement that harms people in their marriages, in their relationship with their children, with their friends. It becomes generational. And Christianity still, and maybe even more so today, preaches that the therapeutic idea of self-healing, self-love is evil. And that makes me really, really angry at what
Yep.
I was taught and what is now teaching other people about
Totally.
themselves.
Totally. I mean, if I can't wait to have grandkids for a lot of reasons, but probably chief among them is because I want to practice, um, being totally attached to this little, it's like a fresh start of a relationship where you can be like, "Hey, I get to just be totally attached to you and you to me." And that I can't wait to see what that feels like.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with those cultural norms, of course, and then with, a lot of pain and trauma going on. So I was shell shocked and, um, have all the attachment stuff. I'd like to learn. I have probably 20 books on this subject sitting on the side of my bed, which
You do order a lot of Amazon
I
books.
do. I'll tell you about the book I ordered today, by the way, if you want me to
Oh,
later.
nice.
But anyway, I want to read more about it because I also like the idea that you can heal from attachment disorder and that you can, in fact, reestablish those healthy attachments to your loved ones. Like maybe you can help me understand that.
You need to
Because
listen to some of my lectures
okay,
that I'm hearing
okay,
from my teachers at my professors in grad school. But you know, think of it: Christianity literally teaches the opposite of attachment.
right.
There's a good Father in heaven. He loves everyone, but not necessarily likes everyone. He uh, is the love of God is uh, based upon what you do, not who you are. That love is always with consequences, always with strings attached. I love you no matter what, but my attachment to you, my desire to be with you, I will turn my back on you
Yeah.
if you don't do what I want you to do.
There are
That's a
conditions.
horrific teaching. Yes, all love is
Conditions.
conditional in
Yes.
Christianity.
Well, and now I feel like it's a race to see who will put up the live comments fastest. So I won the last one, but I put up Doug's comment to have a relationship without trying to convert them. Honestly, I think that is such a great way to put it. And I know I've talked a lot about that on the show this year. Just to like probably the most healing thing is being in relationship with another person where you're not trying to get them to think the way you do.
Yeah.
You are not like stop it, and there when that gets out of the way, then you just get to see and experience the beautiful human in front of you. And when I think about things that are healing, I do think I've certainly had healing in relationships as I've changed that outlook. And I do think it is nourishing to my soul. So I can see how I have experienced some healing from attachment disorder
And I think
when I think that way.
to be able to just love unconditionally the person in front of me really does require us to be able to love ourselves unconditionally. Love your neighbor as yourself. If I don't love myself, then I'm going to be really angered by somebody who does love themselves. You don't get to do that. You don't get to be that person because I have to live this way of being in self-disdain. So why aren't you in self-disdain?
Well, let me tell you, I don't think I agree with that. Like I agree with the kind of the core point, but I will say it is so much easier for me to see and value another person and just love them as opposed to and I can still feel ashamed. I can still feel yeah, that I have something to hide or whatever, not loving my inner self but have a ton of love for somebody else. Like, isn't that kind of that's a normal thing, Like, and that's why therapists always say, the way you talk to yourself, would you ever say that to another person? No, of course not. Then why are you saying it to you?
I think the philosopher would say that love is, um, how would I put it? In some ways, everything we do is selfish. We are wired to do things for
For
others because
self-preservation.
we
Yeah.
get a feeling, yes, self-preservation, or it makes us feel better about our. I can't be horrible because I was really kind to that person, and so maybe everything always has some self agenda because that's kind of how the world is wired, and maybe that's not even bad. Maybe that's how evolution happens. But I do think I know that for me, let me just put it into this. I am learning that I have never fully known how to love because I've never known love that wasn't somewhat conditional because of how my parents were trained, how we've all been trained. But the closest thing I know of that is our kids. Like
Hmm.
when our daughter was born, I knew there was something I had never known before. And like, yeah, I would die for this person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not, no questions asked, no matter what, I would die for this
Yeah.
person. And so I still think even my love for others, which I am a people lover in many, many ways, is not, I'm not fully present to it because I'm still not able to fully love self. So I do think there is something to, yes, we can have love for others without loving ourselves, but there's always something agendized to it.
Well,
Of
I mean, I
even if it
can.
just gives us endorphins of like, oh, I feel so good, my oxytocin kicks in because I loved that person and I get a little bit of a rush out of that. I don't know.
Well,
And
I think. Okay, so
and I'm not talking about you there. I'm talking about the human condition in many
yeah,
ways, what being
if
human is.
if you imagine that divine love connects everything, and this is where like the quantum physicists would have all that, like great science would back up that there is this substance or form or whatever that's connecting everything. Let's imagine that that's love. And so when I have the opportunity to engage with another human being, it's like we're in the love infinity loop.
Yeah.
Okay, so whatever love they're pouring back into me, if I can't receive it because I don't agree that how could you say that about me? I don't see myself that way. I am choking relationship. I can feel that love for you. I can be like, "Wow, can't you see you're this most amazing, beautiful person?" And I can pour out, but when I can't let it be poured in, it is going to choke that love infinity loop between
Mm,
us and our relationship. So we're not running clear with each other. And I think we have some dissonance. Okay, to River
yeah.
Huggers talking about harmonic resonance, right? So um this whole thing about how important it is to love yourself is so that you can be in life-giving restorative relationship with another human being.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think to do that, we have to be able to access our what I would call our eternal self. That this
Yes.
uh, on earth as it is in heaven, all these things is we're able to reach into this other
Right.
space where we exist, if that makes sense, and pull down resources into this realm. And yeah, that gets cut off by a lack of love for self because I'm not loving that eternal self either. I'm not recognizing that it's there and exists for me. And what I think is really important, to go back to something you said earlier about I don't want to share how I access the divine because that's going to harm my ego, which makes it harder for me to humbly enter that realm. 100% right. And I don't want anybody else to think I've arrived and you should follow my journey. But I think what's important about what we do and why we do it is we do provide permission for each other when we say, Yeah, I'm searching out new pathways to access divine goodness and wisdom and hope and love. It gives permission to other people to do it too. Not
I
because
agree.
we can tell people what to do or not to do, but just as humans together, we're like, oh, I can pursue that path because
Right.
they're demonstrating something really cool.
Well, why I do also conclude there is an importance of sharing, and it's back to that, infinity loop of oxygen and like perfect love is you're sharing in a like, hey, I'm kind of seeing this or feeling this. Are you as well? Because if you consider that it's sort of like, how when sometimes I experience this all the time in my day job where I'll be like, whoa, I finally thought of this really cool idea or this thing. And I think I've solved this problem that's like this. And like some new words come into it. And I'm starting to get traction on like this new concept. And then I go to a conference and there's like 20 other cities saying the exact same thing. And
Right.
that feeling of like, wait a second, this isn't new or original to me. It's like the light bulbs are kind of going off all at the same time. I think that's the evidence of this collective consciousness.
Yeah.
And so the sharing is a little bit of like, hey, I'm kind of getting this sense from, that collective thing that we're all a part of, divine love, perfect love. Like, are you seeing that? And then that is encouraging. And that is like, oh, it's like you can only access more understanding and more love by relationship.
Yeah.
It's only because imagine we're all little straws in the cup. We gotta understand. You know what I'm saying? Like the sharing is part of the growing.
It is the life purpose, I think. Like
Yeah.
somehow we're here searching out that love ultimately. And so we see that then if we're not understanding of that, we're going to instead search for super religiousness or super wealth or power or all the other things, and which leads me as a lead into a video I want to show of Billie Eilish this week, who our daughter brought to us as her favorite singer at one point.
Years ago, I think, didn't she see her live in Orange County at some little dive or something?
Oh, she may have. I know it was during COVID. She told us about it, about Billy. And this was interesting this week. She was honored by the Wall Street Journal for her contributions to music, and she turned it into a commentary on wealth. So let's listen.
I'm right now where the world is really, really bad and really dark, and people need empathy and help more than kind of ever, especially in our country. And I'd say if you have money, it would be great to use it for good things and maybe give it to some people that need it. And love you all, but there's a few people in here that have a lot more money than me. And if you're a billionaire, why are you a billionaire? No hate, but yeah, give your money away, shorties. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
What's your response to that when you hear it for the first time?
She's really special. Well, it's that it very much aligns with stuff I've been paying attention to and reading and watching, and just like had breakfast with one of my dear closest friends, a man who's well into his 80s, probably my most profound mentor in my life. And he's a big he's a big Warren Buffett guy. And so he was talking about some Warren Buffett stuff. So then I went and watched the 2025 shareholders meeting with Warren Buffett, who like talks for 4 hours. I mean, just a remarkable person at 94, and has made the decision to give all of his wealth. I think 1% is going to his descendants and the rest is going to philanthropy. And my friend and mentor was saying the the excellence and the pursuit of of building your business or building whatever, like the whole point is is the growth that comes from that journey, and then like give it away.
Yeah.
So, and of course I'm in the business of local philanthropy, so I'm gonna co-sign on that. like every day of the week. But yeah, that's really wonderful. And then I get very practical about it too in my mind, because I think to myself, um, there's there are a lot of very ineffective things that happen in the charity space. And so this whole practice of sort of social impact and um, using philanthropic dollars to invest in things that perpetuate and that you don't have to keep funding year after year because they have some kind of revenue. Like I
If
love it. I
if I
love
can
it.
step away from the logistical things that are
Yeah.
your daily life,
Yeah.
and back on sort of the existential premise of all of this. So Billie Eilish is donating $11.5 million. That is reportedly a quarter of her net wealth right now. She lives at home with her mom and dad and her brother. I think maybe they have one other sibling too. In the crowd that day when she made this speech were guys like George Lucas, Spike Jonze, very wealthy guys, and Mark Zuckerberg and his wife.
Oh,
Reports are Zuckerberg did not clap for this. The report that I was reading said that Zuckerberg and his wife signed Bill Gates' Give It Away pledge and have not been giving it away. They did donate, I think it was something like 90% of their Facebook stock, but they donated it to their own foundation. So, I think it's in this, again, the Christian space we grew up in, wealth was a blessing and, no taxes. And so I would never have even considered the question of why are you a billionaire? But I really am now starting to think of why are you a billionaire?
yeah.
If you have $999 million, you can never spend that money. There's like, you can never get rid of it. It reminds me of the Brewster's Millions movies. Once you have $1 million, it's hard to get rid of it.
Just keeps growing and growing. Yeah.
Yeah, because you just get money for it existing.
Well,
And so why not? And in the Eisenhower era, post World War II, America, when you reached a certain level of wealth, everything you made over that was taxed at a
that's right.
90% rate,
Right.
because we said as a society, we want to be able to raise the boat for, the tide for
Right.
everyone.
When we're
And
trying to get out of the
how could we
king
get that
era.
again?
Yeah. Totally. Right. I mean, you just open up a whole nother bucket. So I don't know if what you were wanting to, where you wanted to
Maybe
go with
after
that.
John Fugelsang joins us next week, the following week, we can maybe talk about why are you a billionaire? I think it's a fascinating question. And, Warren Buffett is a billionaire who's been talking about this. Why wouldn't we pay higher taxes? Why wouldn't we do this? And it's because you're cut off from your attachment of there is inherent value for me, not agendized value, inherent value for me in giving my blessing away to others. And in
So,
doing so, I'm giving it to myself.
okay. So can we close on this? The book that I just ordered this morning. Okay.
Okay.
Cause I think there's, um, to me, this is the place to ground. Ryan Holiday's books on virtue, the four virtues.
Yeah.
Um, his most recent book is out on wisdom. It's called Wisdom Takes Work. And I just started listening to it on Audible this morning. I'm going to listen to the others as well. But like he talks about, the Hercules story and value versus virtue and um, choosing virtue. And that choice of virtue over sort of fast, easy gain, whatever, that to me is the underpinning of what we consider like a Christian nation. It's like if you go back and look at the hard fought policy decisions and practices that included things like we wanted a country that had much more equality and equity and like not some people have a lot and everybody else has nothing. It
Yeah.
all ties back to the Stoics and the virtues
Yeah.
and religion. Like every major world religion has a story and a version of that choice. um So yeah,
And
I
we
mean,
can
it's
and we can throw in the idea, one of the ideas that Jesus was always combating was these people are rich because they deserve to be rich, and these people are poor because they deserve to be poor. And combating that mindset would be a big part of this as well. But yeah, we're opening a whole new subject that we can talk about in 2 weeks. But next week, you have to be with us for sure, because John Fugelsang will be with us. He has a New York bestseller out called Separation of Church and Hate. And he is amazing. He's been everywhere. And we are so excited to have him on with us next Sunday morning at 9 o'clock live. Or you can watch it recorded on YouTube or listen to it on your favorite podcast outlet. I'm also
and don't
interested.
for,
I wish we had gotten more from. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I was going to say, don't forget to tell your friends and family about Ish, and make sure you subscribe and like shoot this around in your social network. We could use the help extending this community and getting more and more people into our fun little conversations on Sundays.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Very good. Well, another one in the books. We will see
All
you all
right, let's
next
get
week.
ready for the 2026 highlight reel.
Well, it could be prophetic.
It's future casting.
We're going to give
I'm
the future highlight reel.
I'm definitely in 2026 in my head. So I guess we need to take a minute and close out 2025, but then we're going to get to 2026.
2026
All
is
right.
going to be a big year. So yeah,
Big
yeah,
year.
in so
Okay,
many ways.
everybody.
Love y'all. Bye.